Okay, today is September 14th, 2020, and right now at 10:50 p.m. we have a temperature of 70 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 39%. The dew point is 44 degrees, and we have a barometric pressure of 29.96 inches, or about 1,014 millibar. All right, so we've had very smoky skies the last few days. Extremely smoky skies. The cars are covered with ash. Today, and we're all stuffed up, by the way. That's why I sound stuffed up, is because we've been breathing this hazardous air for about 6 days now. And anyhow, the wind changed to the north today, and that helped blow a lot of this hazardous air up over the mountains to the north and out into the desert. All right, so the Bobcat Fire, which is over Monrovia and Sierra Madre, is still about only 6% contained, and all the effort is being done from the air. The air tankers, you've got an L-1011 dropping water, you've got a couple of Erickson sky cranes, and several other smaller helicopters, Blackhawks and Bell 212 choppers, which are dropping water. All right, so it's very steep terrain, and meanwhile the guys on the ground are lighting backfires, which is not sure the purpose of that at this point. But anyway, hopefully they'll get the fire out real soon. All right, so here we have the National Hurricane Center map for the Atlantic. We have a number of storms here. Look at this. There's 4 named storms, and we have a disturbance over here off of the African coast, 30% chance there. We have a disturbance here in the Gulf, 10% chance there. Sally is the one we're watching. This is a moderate Category 2 hurricane with 100-mile-per-hour winds, sustained wind. Central pressure of 986 millibar, moving west-northwest at 3 miles per hour. So this is going to move right into New Orleans, it looks like, according to the cone track, which it'll move into New Orleans and do a U-turn and come back out over Alabama and go into Georgia and South Carolina over the next 5 or 6 days. All right, so that's the situation with Sally. And we feel sorry for the people of New Orleans. They seem to always be getting hammered by these storms, which can easily be targeted, superheated, and destroyed. Now here we see in this video loop, this is the long wave IR map. It's a 200 frame map. We see the depth of that storm is quite deep. It's all black here in the center. There is no eye wall as of yet, but we do see that the storm is being superheated with moderate power. These are satellite transmitters causing this pressure wave and this blast pattern. How do we know that? Well, let's take another look at one of these satellite maps here. This is we'll just divert very quickly to the North Pacific. Take a look at this giant right angle right here that forms around this vortex. This is a large low pressure system in the Bering Sea. This is Alaska, the Aleutian Islands. Notice, look at that. That's a nearly perfect right angle. We can actually lay an envelope right on that as it forms, and you can see just how well that is. That is a satellite transmitter causing that, and that is isolating the moisture in the frontal system that wants to spool into that vortex. Normally, these frontal systems spool right into that vortex. This is the lowest pressure point. High pressure always flows to low pressure. If you've ever let air out of a tire or an inner tube, you know that high pressure flows to low pressure. That's how it works. But yet we see here that this jet stream flow is not getting anywhere near that vortex because of the covert, nefarious weather manipulation going on here via satellite transmitters. This is probably a phased array microwave transmitter, which is completely blockading that vortex. we can see the clockwise rotation off of that this frontal system here. This should be spooling back around into that low. Now last night I wanted to do a video, but we just couldn't get it done. We saw the jet stream just running right into a blockade around this system here, which was further out. It was probably about 1,000 miles out. And this low pressure here brought a lot of moisture into Oregon and Washington, and we can see that happening right here on this 200 frame loop. If we go to the Doppler radar map right here, that's loading up. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay. Anyhow, the upshot is that there was zero precipitation in Oregon and Washington from all of that moisture coming in off the Pacific. No precipitation at all. So what does that mean? That means that the jets were up spraying, and also with all the smoke from the fires. There's dozens and dozens of fires burning up in California and in Oregon and Washington, and all that smoke is essentially does the same thing as the chemtrail aerosols. It'll cap the atmosphere, and so there's no rain. Let's see if we can get that Doppler map to work. Look at that, not working. Okay. Try to get that to, here we go. This fabulous internet service here. Okay, here we go. This is the latest Doppler image. We see that there's very little rain, precipitation. There's nothing in Oregon and nothing in California. All of this moisture that we were just looking at coming in on the satellite map, that would have helped a lot to put these fires out. Help the firefighters get these fires put out. Look at this, right into Oregon, right there, and Washington, and that yielded zero precipitation. Okay, so getting back to Hurricane Sally, this system is being targeted, but the amount of power being applied is not suitable. It's not sufficient to kill that storm off. We've seen hurricanes killed in the past. We've documented that here on this channel many times. All those hurricanes in the last 4 or 5 years that went out past Hawaii, all of them were killed just in the nick of time. The Hawaiian Islands is the home of the Pacific Fleet. It's a military stronghold, a U.S. military stronghold, and the people controlling our weather are part of the U.S. government. It's a rogue faction, probably of the U.S. Air Force and the DOD. They're working together with the NOAA. The Department of Defense controls and manages all the network of WSR-88Ds around the country. Now, for anyone that is not sure what the WSR-88D is, those are the ground transmitters that generate, that produce these Doppler radar images. Now let's see here. There we go. Okay, so this is an example of the Portland transmitter, which is known as KTRX in Portland. That's the WSR-88D in Portland, Oregon. KTRX, you can look that up right here, and we can see that transmitter on November 26, 2018 was breaking up and evaporating the precipitation around Portland. And so if you've got a weather gambling operation going on, these are wonderful tools if you're on the inside. If you're running the house, the casino, the house, and you're taking bets, and these suckers are paying you money to and betting on how many rainy days or sunny days there's going to be in Portland or any other city around the country that has one of these WSR-88Ds, you're going to make tons of money, and that's what's been going on here. And we've got the evidence right here. The evidence is that these transmitters work dual function. They have a high power capability that evaporates moisture. I've got a few other examples here. Here's a shot of the Tucson area. And this is another WSR-88D out in the desert area. It's evaporating and chopping up the precipitation pattern back on August 11th, 2017. This screenshot was taken. Another example is, well, that's pretty much the same one. Let's see if we can. Yeah, those are the only three I have up right now, but this is really the best example. I've got hundreds of these on another computer, but this serves to show that these transmitters have a very high power capability and have the capability to easily manage the amount of precipitation a certain area or region will receive. And if you notice the one down near Edwards Air Force Base in California, they never allow any rain, heavy rain in that area, just north of Los Angeles. That transmitter is always working. So we're going to keep a close eye on that one over the coming winter season, which, by the way, the fake news mainstream media has already tipped their hand and explained that it's going to be a very dry winter here in the Southwest. We've had 3 pretty good winters as we've been exposing these weather controllers for what they have been doing, droughting out areas around the country and around the world. And we've been exposing that here, and it's there's people that don't want this information out, trust me when I tell you that. But here we see more crimes against humanity. We have a hurricane being allowed to move right in to Mississippi and Louisiana there. This could all have been stopped. You can use blocking high pressure. You can superheat and kill the storm off with a satellite microwave-based transmitter or laser-based transmitter. If you don't believe that this is happening, go into the channel's playlist and look at some of the videos. Lyndon Johnson, back in, I think, 1964, 63, somewhere around there, he was explaining at a graduation that that a satellite was under development to basically determine the world's cloud layer. Now go watch that video on this channel. It's rather interesting. He lays it out in plain English. So that was 55 years ago, 56 years ago. Been a lot of development, a lot of advancements in optics and electronics and all the rest of it. So controlling the weather is not hocus pocus. It's been going on for, I would say, 30 years at least. And now there's a weather gambling racket going on, weather futures and options. But here, this is just really excellent evidence here. We see this giant right angle. We see these fairly often. The weather controllers have been fairly careful not to do this too often because Mother Nature doesn't create right angles like this. And high pressure always flows to low pressure. Yet we see this strange right angle, which is just never happens unless there's man-made intervention. So when you hear Sleepy Joe, senile Joe Biden talking about climate change causing the fires, and we hear moron Gavin Newsom telling us that this is all a result of climate change, that's just BS. We've got fires because kids are starting fires with matches and lighters. That's what's happening. All right, so if we take a look at the East Pacific right here, we see that we've got a storm out here. This is Karina, and this is a tropical storm moving northwest at 14. This will probably be killed off if it gets anywhere near California. All right, so that's it for now. We're going to do a 9/11 special here pretty soon, but we're just going to leave it right here. That pretty much sums up the narrative for 9/11. Okay, that's it.